because of bodybuilding, I found out I don't struggle with cameras. I don't struggle with anxieties, different preparations like other people do. Because everything I do worry about, I was so present in, trying to execute, trying to hit the right poses, trying to do what I needed to do to win, that any worry or anxiety was kind of washed out by that. Always be willing to listen to somebody when they're giving you advice. No matter how crazy, no matter how ridiculous something sounds, it may not be the best advice, but you never know what advice you can use until you reach a certain point. The biggest thing I tell people to do is stay in the moment. Visualization, planning, of course, makes perfect, but realize that, being in the moment, sharing true expression, being original to yourself is going to be your advantage.
Welcome to the XPLR.NASH Podcast. We are so glad that you're taking the time to listen to today's episode. Today, we are talking about weight training. We're talking about mental situations. We're talking about operating businesses. We're talking about successes and failures. And joining me on today's show, how do you classify yourself? As a bodybuilder? Like, what's your classification?
Yeah, I'm a professional bodybuilder born and raised. When people ask, I assume they see the muscle and they're curious of what I do because I get football player, wrestler. So, I just tell them I'm a pro bodybuilder. That's just the easiest way to...
Well, so this is Brandon Curry.
Brandon Curry, yes.
How in the world did you get into bodybuilding? So I this is a world that's still relatively new to me. I know of it.
Yes.
I know of like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing these things. I know of Patrick Bet-David and how he wanted to be in bodybuilding before he started his career in insurance. But other than that, I don't know much of the world.
Well, I technically I didn't know much before I got into it. I was playing college football, MTSU, and
Go Raiders. Is that the name? Their name?
Yeah, Blue Raiders.
Blue Raiders. Okay.
Yeah, Blue Raiders. And at the time I was probably a little sick of football. On the politics, and I was a little bit immature back then.
Did you play high school football in Murfreesboro then?
Yeah, I played high school football in Nashville.
Okay.
I'm a Hunters Lane graduate.
Okay.
So so I went to MT, and I love football, but I was kind of impatient about playing. So some of the football politics I didn't really know how to deal with. So
was the impatience more based on the team efforts or based on like personality stuff?
I think it was more like personality, the seniority type thing. I was at the time I was playing number 3. I was trying to work my way into the roster, and when it came to camp time, it was kind of like I kind of got a disappointing evaluation for my the spring game. He was at the time there was the only person that gave me not a good evaluation was the coach, but I think it was more of him, kind of realizing that a senior, it was his last opportunity to kind of do camp and play, and there was only so many people invited back to camp, and I was one of the ones that wasn't invited, and I didn't see it at the time of what the coach was trying to do. He was trying to, take care of players that already been there, my position coach anyway, and I kind of like fell out of love. I'm like putting all this work, trying to do all my work in school, and putting all this time in, and I wanted to, I love football. I wanted to be out there and contributing. I didn't want to wait my turn. So, I got into training outside of campus, shopped around at a bunch of different gyms in Murfreesboro. At the time, there was Gold's downtown, which doesn't even exist anymore. And then there was what we call it, Southeastern. It was called Southeastern at the time. Now it's called Olympus Athletic Club, but it was Southeastern. So I got taken down there, and I kind of fell in love with the atmosphere. It wasn't a bodybuilding gym per se. It was a powerlifting gym. And all I knew was
it's a powerlifting, just so the audience says this is a food-based audience.
Yeah, well, powerlifting.
So powerlifting, it's more heavyweights.
Yeah, powerlifting is about bench press, squat, and deadlift.
Yeah. So it's like the top 3, and if you're getting over the 1,000-pound club and all that stuff,
exactly. Right? You got geared. You got guys can wear gear to help, or you got the guys that don't wear gear. But it's just a very intense atmosphere. Guys are going in there trying to PR every day. Hardcore music. Chalk everywhere. It's just basically, they call this place it was like a dungeon feel because it's underground. Okay. So I went there, and I was training there, just trying to, stress relief. I was, debating, whether I was going to go back and play. but I love to train. Number one, I just love to train. I mean, even the
So this is what, like, you were a sophomore MTSU?
I was just a freshman.
A freshman.
I was just a freshman. It was my first year there. But I love to train, and I love to train so much that I thought I was going to become a strength coach. Okay. So I went to school
with more of the line of like helping football players like build strength and athletes. Okay,
athletes in general, and my focus in school was exercise physiology, and I ended up going to school for that, getting a degree in that side, and so I thought that was what I was going to do, but I realized being around football players, everybody was not into training like I was, and it used to really irk me that the seniors and the upperclassmen would just shortcut the workouts. They didn't take it seriously. But coach kind of noticed my development and how good I responded to training. And there was kind of jokes about my muscles and whatnot. I got compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger back then. And it just didn't dawn on me. But until I got to Olympus, there was a trainer called Robert Weems. And he was just a trainer at the gym. And he saw me there training every week. And he asked me one day, he says, I think you should do a bodybuilding show. You want to do a bodybuilding show? I was like, no, I don't want to do a bodybuilding show. So, but he kept bugging me. I think he asked me like 5 different times.
And over like a few month period, or
no,
all in 1 week?
It was like a matter of a couple weeks.
Okay, because I've been reading Green Eggs and Ham to my son, and I'm like, wow, this is the persistence in this book. It's like a good sales book, and you're like, oh, you just got to keep asking.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 week period, probably. And basically every time he saw me, it seemed like. And so I told him no for like 5 different times, but it actually gave me time to think, which meant, I'm thinking about not playing football anymore. I'm not doing anything. I'm still training, but I'm not training for anything. So eventually when he asked me like that 5th time, I was like, okay, what do I got to do? Just tell me what I got to do. So he said, and it happened to be 4 weeks out from a show that was on campus at MTSU. So it was very convenient. And most of the time, bodybuilders don't get ready for shows 4 weeks out. For all those people that don't know,
because you have to change your diet, you have to, and we'll talk about that. But like, you have to change your diet, you have to change everything, right?
Yeah, traditionally it's a minimum of like 12-week process.
Okay,
and those for people that are already training, already been in the gym and developed a lot. 12-week diet, that's kind of like the cutting phase of getting ready for a contest.
Okay,
but a total prep could take 26, 24 weeks, or even longer.
How just with that preparation, how often are you in the gym? Is it like a 6-hour workout a day that you're in the gym?
Typically, we got that calories in, calories out. And muscle is very metabolic. So the more muscle you have, the more energy it consumes. So in order to build muscle, you don't want to burn 2 ends of a candle too much, because you got to recover and you got to be able to eat enough to maintain that muscle. So workouts are generally, I say at max 2 hours. Okay. And that would be like for a leg day. And that may.
Are you also doing cardio on top of that, or is it primarily just muscle building?
That's my maximal for weight training, and that's just time in the gym weight training. That includes warming up. That just includes gym time in general. Okay. I say more than 2 hours, you don't need that. And just traditionally, if you work in something more upper body, a smaller group, I say an hour and a half, an hour. Yeah. It just kind of depends on your goals and how many calories you're consuming, by how much time you can spend in the gym. I advise people, especially younger guys, not to spend too much time in the gym, especially if they love the gym like I did, because you're kind of spinning your wheels. You're kind of out training your ability to recover. Or if you're trying to gain weight and gain muscle, then the more energy you expend, the harder it is to put the muscle on.
What's a mental barrier that you have to get over with that? If you look at some of these celebrity diets and how they get in shapes for these movies, they're like, oh, we're spending 5 hours a day in the gym, and I'm like, what are you doing?
that is the sale and promotion of hard work.
Yes.
Those are mythological ideas, and a lot of times they're counting maybe the extra cardio sessions that they have to do. So you can do a cardio session and maybe 45 minutes to an hour. If you have 2 of those, then you're going to rack up time in the gym, but those are pretty much low intensity. It's not like you're really training super hard that whole time. Generally after an hour, you're going to start,
your body will start shutting down.
You start feeling it. If you're training intense enough, you're not going to be able to maintain that intensity for that long, but the mentality that you have when it comes to trying to break, I say break from overtraining, is you have to just basically learn that yes, effort work does help. It's a part of the process, but overkill is a real thing, and you can't out-train your nutrition in your diet.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. So a lot of people, they think, okay, I'm going to eat a lot, I'm going to eat what I want, and then I'm going to train a lot. But you could sit down and you can consume probably a whole lot more, especially if it's the wrong foods, heavily palatable foods. You consume a lot more than you think you're consuming, and you'll never have enough time in the day to exercise that much. And then the other way around, if you're spending 3 hours or 5 hours or whatever in the gym trying to put on muscle, which is the most metabolically active tissue on the body, it's not easy to put that on. You got to have a certain amount of protein in your diet. And if you're not able to consume, you're not leaving enough time to consume enough protein, consume enough meals throughout the day, then you're not going to put on the muscle that you need to put on. So it's both ends of the spectrum. You can abuse your time in the gym or not use it wisely. So, that's pretty much what I had to learn. I had to kind of learn.
So you learned that in that 4-week period, or after?
I learned the importance of it.
Okay.
Throughout the process of my career. So it's like you can get away when you're young, especially college age, young man, you can get away with a lot. So I was able to get ready for a show in 4 weeks just because I had genetic tendencies that kind of helped me with the bodybuilding aspect. So I was generally leaner body, had a good amount of muscle for the level of show I was doing, already on my frame from my athletic training. So what he told me is, he said, come in, every day you come in, just train, and I'm going to show you how to pose after you train. So
would you train, so in that 4-week period, would you train a certain muscle group on the body per day? Well, or just like a more full body comprehensive?
Typically there's multiple styles of training in bodybuilding. A lot of the the Arnold styles is, kind of annihilate a muscle group, separated each day. And then modern day guys group push-pull legs.
Okay.
Or then some guys even train like fuller body, or they do things where they may hit a larger muscle group and then they may target some area that they have a weakness on that needs more development. Frequency nowadays is a big thing because some of the scientific information kind of caters to frequency over annihilation, because the more that you abuse a muscle, the longer it takes to recover.
Yep.
But if you just only stimulate a muscle, you can get it to grow and respond, and you can recover quicker to train again. So there's kind of different methodologies to the training. So back then, I was probably still more training like an athlete, trying to be bigger, stronger, faster at the same time. And it took me a while to break from that, actually. But I was able to get ready for a show because he gave me a 4-week diet. He said, use this diet. Basically, that diet was, he removed most of my carbohydrates out of my diet. And
so was it more high protein?
Yeah, it was high protein.
So maybe like 60 to 100 grams of protein per day?
It was more, I guess, I'm thinking back, it was probably like somewhere around a gram of protein per body weight.
Okay.
And at the time, I was probably not very heavy. I was probably like 185 or something like this. And so he basically just kind of modified my protein, gave me vegetables, and tried to say took the carbs out. And at that time, I had never really done a diet. So over that 4-week period, my leaner physique got leaner. And I'm worried because back in high school, one of my first people that had suggested that I should be a bodybuilder was my now wife. She was at Opryland. And I was an athlete, so I think I turned a flip off of something. And she saw my shirt come up, and she said, you should be a bodybuilder when you grow up. And I said, I don't want to be on stage and oiled up in the Speedo. That's what I told her.
Yeah.
And it was like a year later, which I did the show, I'm calling her, and the results of the show, I ended up winning my first show. Basically, I walk in, and I'm kind of comparing myself against the group. I'm in the novice category. I did the middleweight category as well. And I'm so focused on, okay, what I have to do, how I have to execute the poses, how to be competitive. I'm not worried about the things I once was worried about.
Was there fear, like in front of the judges, showing off your body?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I found out, because of bodybuilding, I found out I really don't struggle with that. I don't struggle with cameras. I don't struggle with anxieties, different preparations like other people do. I didn't know that until I started meeting other people. Like my wife, we did a show in Las Vegas. We weren't married then, but Las Vegas together. And before I went on stage, she was backstage with me. She's holding my hands. She's rubbing them. She's like, "You okay? You're good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Like, and I realized, she's like, "You're not nervous?" I'm like, No, I'm not nervous. So I realized that I didn't really struggle with that. And because everything I was worried about, or I did worry about, I was so present in, trying to execute, trying to hit the right poses, trying to do what I needed to do to win, that any worry or anxiety was kind of washed out by that. And all the anticipation, I guess, was washed away by what I needed to execute. So that became a real, real strong point in me. I didn't know. It's like some bodybuilders, even at the highest level, bodybuilding fans will know a guy who passed not too long ago named Cedric McMillan. We came up around the same time. We did an Arnold Classic together for the first time. And we were talking backstage, and I had no idea how much people struggle with anxiety. I had no idea. But he was like, "Oh, yeah," we was talking and was having a good time. He said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "No." He said, "Quit lying." He couldn't believe it. He's like, "Quit lying." I'm like, "No." He's like, "No." He said, "I'm nervous as shit." He was really like nervous. And I'm thinking, you've been doing this since we've been amateurs. We've gone through the amateur ranks and we've pro now, and you're still nervous about something that we do all the time. I just didn't recognize it.
Yeah.
So, but he was still nervous, and until he actually, until his whole entire career, I had to explain to people, when they see him, he's coming up with strategies to enter the stage, blowing in his hands. He's spending a lot of time by himself trying to get his mind right. But when he hit the stage, though,
he was just on.
You would have no idea, because he's a total ham. He's a total entertainer. So anybody that didn't know him, they would never in their wildest dreams think he dealt with that. But yeah, he dealt with that. So it was something that fortunately I just never had to struggle with. So, I was at my first show, that's what kind of hooked me, I guess. Early success hooked me into bodybuilding, because I won the novice class, I won the middleweight class, and I won the overall.
So was that first show, did you win a monetary prize, or was it more of just like, hey, you have this?
No, it was just
acclimate.
Yeah, it was just an amateur show. You don't really get paid.
Yeah, how do you monetize in this?
You don't really
world?
Well, it takes if in order to do bodybuilding, first of all, it's no guarantee to monetize.
Yeah. Unless you have sponsorships, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta love it.
Yep.
And I was fortunate to come up in an era we call the magazine era.
Yep.
So that's before the magazines died in bodybuilding. And I was fortunate enough to get sponsorships in an era where they were sponsoring guys on potential. So another guy
potential of winning competitions.
A potential future.
Okay.
Basically a future in the sport.
Okay.
So Joe Weider, Ben Weider. Joe Weider is the founder of modern bodybuilding, so to speak. Flex Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, Weider Publications at the time. He was one of those guys that went out and sought talent. So of course, when I was coming in, he was a lot older, and I met him, but like I said, he wasn't as active. And I think they had already sold their most of the share of the business to AMI, which is what National Enquirer, But I still got to visit the old Weider office, and I got the tour. I got a lot of experience that guys today have no idea about. And basically, it was easier back then because there was no social media. So they pay you to be exclusive
on that magazine.
To a magazine.
Okay.
And
so is that you going to that magazine and saying, okay, I'm going to give my tips and tricks for this. I'm going to present my diets. I'm going to present what I'm eating, like that type of stuff?
Well, basically, they would call you once a month. If you're on contract, they call you once a month. They interview you.
And then do a photo shoot.
And then they put an article in the magazine like you wrote it based on the interview.
Oh, okay.
And whenever you were in shape for a contest, you would do photo shoots.
Of course.
So that was pretty much it. And then I found out later how the business was tied together with supplement company contracts, or tied to your publication contracts a lot of times, because the supplement companies advertise in the magazines.
That makes sense.
And it would be better if they had athletes that were represented by the publication, because they would appear in the magazines more.
Yep.
And then that kind of, I guess, kickback versus advertising with the supplement companies that would advertise. If you were involved with one of those companies, it was like, okay, they were getting this better deal by having an athlete sponsored by the magazine, right? So as an amateur, I started getting sponsored by magazines basically on my first, based off my performance on my first pro qualifier in Las Vegas, which was the USA's. And at the time I was
what were you doing for employment at that time?
At the time I was going through college. I was a trainer, and I trained clients.
More on the bodybuilding side, or strength and
I just trained regular
endurance,
people. I didn't prep anybody for shows. I just trained regular people in the gym, and I was basically, I trained with other bodybuilders, but I wasn't like a contest prep kind of guy. I just trying to, anybody that needed training, wanted to be pushed through workouts. I would occasionally do some diets, but mostly it was just training. And I was in college, but I tell people this. I started my bodybuilding career outside of that first show from traveling. My first trip on a flight to Miami, I decided to compete in a different organization because I was in this natural organization called SMBF, and it was just local. And I went to their national competition in Atlanta because I qualified at that show, and I went in and I got second as a teenager and I lost against a guy that was like 30-something years old. And I was like, oh, this is kind of easy. This organization is kind of easy. So I went on the internet and I was looking for some harder competition. So I found Muscle Mania at the time. They had the biggest internet presence at the time when the internet was kind of fresh. So I went there. I saw the collegiate champion, the teen champion actually. And I was like, I could beat this guy. So I took some student loan money. Don't recommend it. And I bought me a ticket. And this was before all the restrictions of 9/11 and whatnot. I took a cooler, ice, and everything on the plane. Flew to Miami, had no credit card or anything. Luckily, I had a friend in Miami that just moved there from my gym. And he helped me check in the hotel, convince him to check in with cash or whatever. And I just went down there to beat this guy. And that kind of sparked people in the scene kind of noticing. Because during the show, I had a lot of people want to take photos of me. I ended up winning the competition, and the organization, Muscle Mania, wanted to sign me to a contract as well. So in order to kind of convince me, they made a move that they probably wish they didn't make, but they sent me to a video promotional shoot in New York. And there I met a guy named Omar Deckert, who was an IFBB pro. He had just turned pro in the IFBB, which is where I'm a pro now. And apparently he was my roommate there, and he went through the same experience I did with Muscle Mania. And he didn't approve of me staying there if I wanted to advance my career because, of course, he wanted me to go to the IFBB. And the guy who was doing the project was a guy named Adam Silver of Silver Model Management. And I told him about my situation, and he managed athletes, and he said, let me look at your contract. So basically he looked at my contract. He gave me the real. He's like, look, you got a lot of obligations, and there's nothing guaranteed for you. He said, won't you come over and compete in the MPC, which is the amateur division of the IFBB Pro League. So I was like, okay. He worked for a company called Repetro, and what they would do, they would interview bodybuilders backstage and get pump-up footage of each national show. So he knew the whole circuit, and he was always backstage. So he's like, yeah, man. He says, I can help you if you go to the MPC. You said you can do some modeling. I can get you booked for this. He got me booked a lot with Muscle and Fitness, and I was basically the guy in the magazine performing exercises, but they didn't say my name or anything. So I was a nameless model performing exercises, and I would do shoots in California like every so often. He would book or do some videos and stuff for online. And so he kind of took me over, unbeknownst to me, to the MPC. I had no idea
what was happening.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea, and then it took me a while. I wasn't.
What piece of advice would you give somebody that may be in that situation for a music career, because we're in Nashville, or somebody is courting them for a healthcare company, and they're like, Just what type of like advice would you give somebody in that type of contract?
Okay, if you ever get a contract and you can't afford a lawyer or whatnot yourself, find the smartest people you know or anybody that can help you before you sign anything. Anybody has any experience looking at any kind of contracts. Even if you have to pay, if you have the money to pay, it's worth paying somebody to look into a contract for you to make sure you're getting the deal, and understand that you can always negotiate as well. Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand that there's a negotiation process, and just because something is printed on the paper doesn't mean it can't change. So that's one of the advice, and always be patient, and remember that over this whole course of your journey, you're developing relationships, and just because things don't go your way, just because somebody may not treat you right, it's in your best interest just to be neutral about these things, not just bash people, because all these things kind of come full circle eventually. So if you bash somebody here and then you end up meeting somebody that work with them and their friends, it may interfere with your progress because of some things you said or some things you've done or the way you treated somebody. Yep. So always kind of stay neutral. As much as you can, not lead with your emotions, lead with your thinking about long term, and just to really realize these relationships, no matter who they are, no matter if you like people or not, sometimes they're the door to get you into a certain place. So that's the key when you're dealing with any industry, I feel. And fortunately for me as a young guy, I didn't know all that, but fortunately I didn't do any serious damage to my career. And always be willing to listen to somebody when they're giving you advice. You may not take the advice. It may not be the best advice, but you never know what advice you can use until you reach a certain point. Because I'm listening to this guy, Omar at the time. He's giving me this information, and I'd had experiences he had talked about that were he was explaining to me were uncomfortable experiences. But at the time, my naivete radar wasn't not picking up on these things he was telling me. But as I'm looking back and I'm thinking, and then I have new experiences, I'm like, oh, my eyes are open to something that I didn't know was going on right there in front of me. So always, no matter how crazy, no matter how ridiculous something sounds, just listen, take a note, and then just test it, always test it.
So how long were you in the amateur side of things until you went like pro?
It was, for me, it was very, very quickly because I had this blind guide. Well, I was blind, he wasn't. And every show he was taking me to, first MTSU show was Collegiate Nationals. And that was in Pittsburgh. It was Collegiate Masters and Teen Nationals. It was a show I only qualified for because I was in college. And it was a big show for me anyway. So he took me there. I won that show. That qualified me to go compete somewhere else. He said, oh, well, you won this show. This is good, but we need to qualify. You need to qualify to compete at a national level show. So he said, I got to be in D.C. for this event, and there's a show there. If you do well there, that'll qualify you for nationals. Now, I'm not knowing what's going on, so I'll go to the show. I didn't win the show. It was Yanni's Northeast Tournament Champions. It was a natural show, but I got second. That qualified me for nationals, and which was juniors. So I went from that show to junior nationals. And at junior nationals, I wasn't very confident because this was a show out of Chicago. This was the people that were trying to qualify to go to a pro qualifier. And I'm thinking, I'm not ready for this. I'm at a disadvantage with these guys. These guys are, have way more experience than me, way more knowledge than me, because at that time I was still doing everything myself. I didn't really have a coach. So I go there. I'm not very confident. First time, I don't know what to expect. I'm so distraught about competing that I don't even eat hardly.
Mentally, how do you deal with that lack of confidence?
Well, the thing is, you
have to still push forward.
You just have to roll with it. Like, I mean, fortunately for me, even though I had not confidence and anxiety, I was there. And no way I could escape. I didn't really know what was going to happen. I just was assuming what was going to happen, which was probably the worst thing ever, is to make a reality out of something that doesn't exist.
That's fear.
You know what I mean?
Fear the fictional events appearing real.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's the first mistake. But fortunately, you make these mistakes early, and you're able to identify those as mistakes. And even though I made those mistakes and I didn't eat like I was supposed to, I didn't shave and didn't take care of myself like I was supposed to go into a show, I still got second in a category that was a little heavier for me, light heavyweight. And the guy who actually won the show, I didn't even recognize as I was competing against. I'm like, where did this guy come from? Like, I didn't even know. Normally I know who's going to win. Mm-hmm. But the guy who won, I was confused. I was like, how did this guy win? But it still qualified me for Pro Qualifier, which was the USA's. And this was the transitional phase of my career. After I won that, I knew that I was going to go to a Pro Qualifier. I knew that this was a different level. This was going to potentially help make me a pro or not. So that was a matter of, I think it was, I tell people it was 4 or 5 shows.
Okay.
Over like 2.5, 3 years maybe. Okay. Very short.
So this is probably around like 2000s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. This is I turned pro maybe it was a little longer because I think 2003 is when I kind of started.
Okay.
Really getting into bodybuilding, I believe. And then I did my first Pro Qualifier in 2007.
Okay.
So let's say maybe it's like 3 or 4 years or whatever. This is the process. So
when you went pro, was the monetization better because you were a pro?
Yes, because like I said, I was one of those. Came in the era where you had potential.
Yep. And the magazines. Yep.
And in 2007, I had done well at my first Pro Qualifier.
Okay.
And that gave me a magazine contract. With a
was that substantial to pay for you and your family at that time?
I didn't have a family at that time.
Okay.
I wasn't married. I didn't have a family at that time, but it wasn't substantial at all. And then I also had a supplement contract, but that wasn't so substantial. But I got the supplement contract because I had a coach that saw me, Hani Rambod, who his most famous athlete is Phil Heath, 7-time champion Phil Heath. He wanted to work with me, and he worked for a company called BSN at the time, and it's a crazy story because my manager was actually having some backdoor negotiations with BSN because we met them. I actually took a picture at their booth at one of the Arnolds the previous year with my shirt off, just because he was trying to get me a contract. Well, come full circle, I ended up getting with this company. And yeah, it was crazy because that picture was my first signature card. So that's full circle. But I didn't notice it. I didn't recognize. I said I got this signature card, and I'm like, how did they get this picture of me? Because I didn't recognize it. And why does my head look funny? Well, I had a hat on.
Okay.
And they cropped it off and they reshaped my head and changed the background.
Okay.
So this is my first signature card. I was taking forever to figure it out. But it wasn't very lucrative, but because the coach wanted to work with me, I got that deal, and because of my potential, I was with the magazines. They wanted to write about me. And
when was the time? So like you go pro. When was the time? Because you're also a business owner too. Mm-hmm. When was the time where you started your businesses in the process of all of this?
Well, basically, business success came with my bodybuilding success.
Okay.
So
describe what you do for a business. The businesses.
Carbon Culture was originally started 5 years ago. We had the first location in Franklin.
And that's a gym?
A gym.
Okay.
It's a gym. It was supposed to be a studio, training studio.
Yep.
Now
with the premise of bodybuilding or more of just everyday training?
Everyday training. Okay. Everyday training. But we did cater for an environment for athletes. So we wanted to be able to bring the public into an atmosphere to where, you had top-notch equipment. You had top-notch guidance. Mm-hmm. If you could take it as far as you wanted, but we wanted a clean, streamlined, very niche environment for the mainstream appeal as well. So most people don't understand equipment, but of course I do.
Yeah.
So I had experience training on a lot of equipment in Kuwait, at Oxygen Gyms, which are multi-million-dollar gyms. So that experience helped me figure out, okay, what I like, what I don't like. And some of the relationships I have developed also helped me figure out, okay, what's some of the top-notch stuff in the industry. So, yeah, so 5 years ago, we have that approach, thinking it's going to be a studio, more training. Now we're expanded to Carbon Performance is a new name. Franklin, we took over the Franklin Athletic Club.
The D1 training one?
No, the Franklin Athletic Club.
Okay, yeah.
Right there, which is right by the shopping center we started, which was originally a daycare where we started, that we redid. And then now at the Nations, Carbon at the Nations, which is, another expansion in West Nashville. So it's been crazy. And then when offshoot in Murfreesboro, which was actually the second gym as well.
Okay.
But it's no longer, I don't have the same partners there.
What's the difficulties in multi-location management?
The difficulties is I don't have to manage.
Okay.
Because my part of it is I'm not in operations in the business.
In the partner. Okay.
Because of me being so active in my career and that being the draw.
So are you more of a silent partner then?
Yes.
Okay.
That being more the draw, that was one of those things that I did not want to be involved in, because at the time we started the business was after 2019, the peak of my success. I won the Mr. Olympia. I was still traveling overseas for 3 months at a time.
Wow.
To prepare for the Olympia. Mm-hmm. And depending on how many
is that hosted like around the world then, or is it primarily?
Well, the Olympia is traditionally modern day. It's normally in Vegas, and since the pandemic, Florida.
Oh, okay.
So they've gone back and forth since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. It used to only be in Vegas, but before that, they used to have a world event. But now it's mostly in Vegas. It'll be in Vegas this year as well. And so I would go to Kuwait because
they were open.
No. Basically, because my coach was there.
Oh, okay.
My coach was there, and that's another story altogether.
Are you a fan of Middle Eastern food?
Yes, I am.
What's your favorite?
I like Lebanese.
Lebanese is great.
Yeah, I like Lebanese food. Honestly, if we're doing a cheat meal or something, they ask me what I want. Mm-hmm. Ironically, I'm like, and believe me, Kuwait is a foodie place.
Yeah,
they have a little bit of everything, and I'm like, yes, let's get some Lebanese. And they're like, really? They're like, yeah, I want some Lebanese.
What did you learn about yourself with traveling to another country to fulfill what you're doing?
Well, first of all, I didn't think I was going to do that. My wife suggested it. Mm-hmm. I told her no.
Because if you're traveling internationally 3 or 4 months, that's a lot of and for competition. Like there's.
Well, I came to a point in 2016 in my career to where, I had family at that point, a little bit to manage, and I wasn't able to get what I needed to get done at home. Mm-hmm. Well, when I met the coach in the U.S. at the Olympia through a compliment. He said, he looked at me and he said, I think I can make you top 6 in the world. And I was like, shocked. Like, okay. Because my wife said, if they asked you to come out to Kuwait, because it was a hot topic at the time, would you go? I said, no, because I didn't want to think about it. And I didn't think he would ask me. But I complimented one of my friends who went there to prep with a coach. He said, he can make me top 6 in the world. I told him I was going to Kuwait in 2 weeks to do a show. We can talk there. So I could think about it. Well, when I got there, he knew more about me than I anticipated. Like, he knew like some of my best looks. He had actually met me in 2010 in Germany, and he was not only he was a fan of my physique, and so that kind of convinced me that this guy, and he already had a plan laid out for what he wanted me to do that season. So it was kind of like, okay, this is the opportunity. Wife was very encouraging. Like, you got to take this off opportunity.
And how old were you kids at this time?
Shoot. Let's see. My oldest boy is 15.
So almost 10 years. So
yeah. So yeah, that's like, yeah, he's like there. He's the oldest boy. So he's 6. And then I had, probably my youngest wasn't even in school yet. Okay. My 2 youngest weren't even in school yet. So they're still probably running around.
How did you balance fatherhood and traveling?
Unfortunately for me, they didn't know their dad because of bodybuilding. They didn't know their dad. They didn't know what a job was.
Yeah. So would they travel with you?
Primarily. Well, I wasn't traveling. I would travel maybe on the weekends. Like I was home so much when my kids were babies. I was home so much, doing everything with them so much, and they would go to the gym with me. Maybe they go in the daycare, maybe they wouldn't. It depends on what gym we're at. And I'd be home so much, they didn't know any difference. And then when I travel maybe for a weekend, like from the first travels a weekend, I noticed with my boys that I'd come back and they'd be a little pissy at me, like, "Where'd you go?" You know, you're not supposed to leave, you know. And I thought it was cute, you know, because they actually recognized I was gone. So,
but internally, it sucks.
Oh yeah, but it's only for a weekend, you know, at the time. So, you know, I thought that was cute. Like, oh, they recognized that he was gone. They got a little bit mad at me, you know. So, but I was home like a lot, so I didn't really miss much unless I had a weekend travel. And most of that was in the U.S. Some of that was international, but it just depend. So it wasn't a lot of travel, but as I traveled a lot, that was the harder part. Because that, you know, I'm doing it. My motivation is them, of course, but I'm doing it so they can have a better life, a better opportunity. But if I didn't feel like this was going to help or something that was required for me at the time to be successful, I couldn't do it. But the burden of me being away from things I loved, the burden of me being there and not being in an environment I love, it kind of drove me. It kind of really pushed me to be very successful. And I think that's one of the reasons why I could go away and zone in without the extra responsibilities and be very successful, because I didn't want to come back and disappoint my fam or waste my time. So, you know, fortunately we live in a technology world. So FaceTime and all that is very present. Like sometimes over the years, I'd be on FaceTime and nobody's even talking to me. I'm just kind of like in the room. You know what I'm saying? Hearing what's going on. And every once in a while they're like, "Hey," or "Look at this," or, you know. And then my youngest one, he always wants to call. He's the one that's like, "Hey, I want to talk to Dad." So he's like, they call me. He's like, "Hey, Dad." And then he calls me. He talks a little bit and he's on about his business. But he just wants to check in on me. You know what I mean? It's like that short kid attention span. So it was very, very hard at first, but I have the kind of, I guess, personality. I was the only boy of three children. So I spent a lot of time to myself. Because the more time I spent with my younger sisters, the more trouble I made for myself. Of course. So I learned to spend a lot of time to myself, and that kind of helped, because what I recognized in that environment from those experiences, seeing other athletes going through the process, about that 3-week point, I call that the breaking point for most guys. They started to get really missing.
The 3-week point of training?
3-week point of being there. Yeah, being overseas. That's when guys either makes or break. If they make it past that 3-week point, they're okay. But that 3-week point I found that was the struggle for guys. They started to miss everything. They started to get really homesick, and they started to question what they're doing. Is it worth it? And so I seen guys go through that process that were out there with me at a certain point. Some guys were able to do it. Some guys weren't able to do it, because you're in a very, some people call stale environment compared to what you're familiar with in the U.S. It's eat, sleep, and train.
That's all you're doing outside.
I mean, they have attractions. They have a nice mall. You know, they have very nice restaurants, but those are things that you don't really get to enjoy. You know, it's no nightlife. It's nothing like that of any sort. And sometimes it can be very, very hot out there. So it's just, you know, it's grind. It's wake up, do the same thing every day. It's literally monotonous. And if you can't handle that monotony, if you can't kind of, you know, if you don't have a reason to, you know, to just driving you to be there, then it can break you. It can break you. And then it's hard for people with the cultural barriers. You know, if you can't sit in a room and everybody's speaking a different language than you and nobody's really talking to you, you know, then that can be hard, you know. You know, you got a lot of people socializing around you, but you may not understand anything they're saying. Fortunately for me, I was able to adapt really well. I mean, even to the point where people there question, like, how do I understand my coach so well? Because his English was apparently really trash. They're like, how do you understand him? He has the worst English. We don't even understand him, you know, and he speaks Arabic. You know what I mean? So they would make fun of him. My coach, like, they would question me. It's like, how do you do this? And it's just like, I'm here for a certain reason, and I keep that reason in check. That reason is never. I'm not here to feel sorry for myself at any point, because I'm here to be productive, and I keep that in my head. I keep that in my mind, and as long as I'm able to make progress, and as long as I'm able to have contact with my family on a daily basis, I'll be fine, because this is what I'm here for. And I can't sit here and slip and get into a depressive mind state, because that's going to affect the outcome of what I'm looking to achieve. So for me, it was very productive to go overseas. But I love traveling. Another thing, and I love cultures. I love learning about different cultures. I love different foods, trying different foods. So for me, it's just like, it's a privilege in a sense, just to be able to say, okay, I've lived this way. I've been here. I've been there. I've tried this. I've tried that. And then understanding the world outside the U.S. is very important for your perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, if you've never been outside the U.S., then, this geopolitics and all this kind of stuff, some things you just don't understand until you've just been there, understand cultures, understand mentalities, and you don't kind of like look at everything from a Western perspective. It really helps so you understand the world at large.
When did you see your big rise in social media? And then how has that impacted your bodybuilding career?
Social media was very hard for me to adjust to.
Because how many followers do you have right now?
I like 1 million, 1.2 million, 1.3 million, something like that.
On all the platforms combined, or?
No, that's just Instagram.
Just Instagram, okay.
Yeah.
Collectively, what do you think you're at?
I don't know collectively, because YouTube I haven't looked at lately, because I've been focusing on building that one.
Yeah.
Especially my last prep season. And then Twitter, I don't really, I kind of stay on Twitter to keep up with my son's activity, because he's an athlete. And I don't really post on there much, but I kind of like that stuff. But most of my focus is on Instagram. And then when I'm doing content on YouTube, just to help with the public. So Instagram is my main following. And like I said, it was very hard for me, because I went from a point in the industry where magazines, they call you once a month, they promote you, you don't promote yourself.
Yep.
Everybody's doing anything for you. It's a lot easier. And then going into transition, there's like social media, it's important. You got to be this, you got to do that, you got to do that. And so it took me a while. My wife had to really push me to kind of get involved and do some things on social media and help. Fortunately, she helped me with a lot of management of my social media. But with the success, me going to Kuwait and people following my journey in 2016, late 2016. But my success in Kuwait started in 2017. My first show I did was Arnold, Australia. And I wanted to do the Arnold, which was a week before, but the powers that be where I was at, sponsored by at the gym, they recommended against it, because I'm new. And I only been there 11 weeks. So they didn't want me to jump in right away into one of the hardest shows, the second hardest show in bodybuilding. But I ended up beating some of the top finishers in the Arnold. And then I went on to New Zealand and win again. So my success really climbed. So that qualified me for the Olympia. And that year at the Olympia, I placed.
So Olympia is the number one.
Olympia is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. So that qualified me for the Olympia. And that Olympia, I placed 8th, which is my second time placing 8th. But that was my highest placing to date. And my first Olympia, ironically, is what I placed 8th, 2011. So I feel like I'm getting back on the horse. From I'm like making a revive. So from that point on, people follow my journey. And because, a lot of people wrote me off once I had my downfall out in sport. I had a quick rise. Everybody knew me, but then I had a big, where I wasn't making progress. I was trying to balance family. Yep. At the same time, and I was going through coaches, some success here and there, but, not really chemistry. So, everybody's like, okay, noticing something's happening out there with him. He's really finding something that's working. So, the next year I come in and I do well again, winning shows. I placed 5th at the Olympia, and that is. People start really paying attention, really following.
So within a year, you placed 8th and then 5th.
Yeah, the next year I placed 5th, and then I had a goal. We had a layout, like Sean Roden, rest in peace, Sean. He was the champion. Well, I seen him go from 5th to first the year he won. So for me, we were friends. We worked for the same company, SciTech Nutrition. So we traveled together a lot. And he was really a big motivator for me because I actually came up before him and I see him rise and get better than me and start winning shows and taking everything. So I'm like,
what's the were you jealous?
I wasn't jealous.
Were you bitter?
I wasn't bitter because it's all outside of my control.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wasn't as good as him.
Did it push you to get better?
That's what it did.
Okay.
That's what it did because, he came up after me. I was one stage, I was beating him. And then all of a sudden he had this streak one year and he was coming out, he's beating everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man. And we had to work with each other. So I had a relationship with him. So me knowing him, knowing a person, I can't hate on his success because I know he's a good person. He works hard and it's just, his timing is his timing.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing him come up, go from fifth, and then winning, that set a fire under me, realizing, okay, the reality, I just placed fifth this year. That means I can win.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if I'm at my best, I think I can beat him. So we strategized to come into the Arnold that year and set a precedent and kind of make a statement. So I go into the Arnold.
This is 2019.
2019.
2019. Okay.
It's 2019. This is the year that I won a title. So I go into the Arnold, and that training all season goes great. We get there, check in. I get number one, which just means that's the order of you going out. So I get number one, and I already made up in my mind. I said I want to be the first guy on stage, the last guy they remember. I said this is an opportunity to just make a statement. And then I saw Sean, press conference or meet and greets. He comes by, and my son, my middle son, who I didn't know paid much attention to bodybuilding, he told his mom at the meet and greet he wanted to meet Mr. Olympia. So she goes and introduces him to Sean Roden, and he takes a picture with Sean. He's wearing glasses. He doesn't really wear glasses, mm-hmm. but he's wearing glasses because he thinks they're cute, and he looks good in them. And he takes a video with Sean, and Sean makes him get a video. He says, say Sean Roden, Flexitron is my favorite bodybuilder. That's his nickname, Flexitron. Yeah. So he gets my son. My son's like, Flexitron is my favorite bodybuilder. Like he's like a question. But Sean, he thinks it's hilarious, so he sends it to me. He's not competing at the show, but he sends it to me. So I see it. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I post it. I share it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is cute. And I didn't realize my son paid attention that much. So this kind of set the precedence to me going into the Olympia and competing. So that motivated me even more. So I go in and I smash the show. Like I execute just like I want. And some people arguably say that was my best look of all time, especially conditioning wise. They and polish wise. That some people argue that was my best look. But I came in with a physique that I hadn't seen before. So that really set the statement. I got the press going. And, of course, social media kind of follows you and that success follows you. So we capitalized on that and go into my journey for the Olympia. And then there was controversy. The controversy that year, Sean got in some legal trouble. And it was, just not to get into it. It was over a young lady. There was some accusations. And so he was dealing with that burden. So I was like, man, this sucks for me because Sean, he's my guy. First of all, he's going through this, and he's my motivation as well. Mm-hmm. My motivation is to, I'm trying to battle against him. And after the show, he was like, I'll see you at the Olympia. I'm like, okay, bro, I'll see you at the Olympia. We're going to push each other. So, but I had no push. But fortunately for me, I had some guys that I had competed against previously. One of my guys, my good buddy, William Bonack, which we were always competitive. But now we were neck and neck. I just beat him at the Arnold. And then Hadi Rambod, which was the Iranian, he's now Mr. Olympia. He was on the scene, and he had beat me in San Marino the previous year. on a kind of like unprepared surprise visit because I just qualified previously in California. He comes in. I'm told I need to help him because he doesn't know he's deaf and he needs help on stage. And I don't come into that show probably as best as I could have because I had a qualification. And I know Cedric McMillan, which the guy I beat, he didn't have a qualification. And I was like, he's likely going to get the qualification. I'll just come in and get second. No big deal. So, and I was tired of competing at that point. I was like, I'm ready to shut down. So I get there and Hottie, he's showing out on stage. I'm like, who needs to help this guy out? His stage presence is crazy. He knows everything that's going on. I don't care if he can't hear or not. He knows the stage very well. So I'm like, man, I knew how good this guy was. In my favor, that helped me a lot because I know this guy had a tenacity on stage that nobody really carried. His passion, you could tell, it drove him. So coming for the Olympia, I had to kind of change my perspective a little bit on the competitiveness. I knew Hottie was coming. I knew William was coming. But it was still mundane because the champion was not there. He was in his trouble. But I still had to execute. So going into the Olympia, it was just like all the press, all the lead up, it just builds. And that just draws people that want to see the insides of what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, they wanted to see the inside of what I was doing in Kuwait. So that helps build the platform even more. So I was able to capitalize on that opportunity to be at the top. And it's one of those unique things when you're going into a contest. It's rare that you don't feel any resistance. And despite, the challenges, the challengers, that was one of those weird contests where I didn't feel any resistance. It's like I knew I was going to win.
Yeah.
I mean, at the press conference, it was like, I think I said something in essence like, I see the mountaintop, I'm right here. It's my opportunity. And that's how I treated it. And I had my strategy for Hottie with my stage game versus his. And I was able to execute that well into a finals. And when the finals is pretty much too late once he figured it out. And so I was able to really execute that. And I came in so big. For some reason that year, I could not keep my weight down. Because my body wanted to grow at that point. So I just came in so big, so full. I was a little overpowering. People may question whether my conditioning was peak, but it was enough for me to win. And looking back, it was definitely enough. It's still one of my favorite looks.
So you hit this peak moment in your life, and you're in your peak physique. What was the experience going back down into a valley?
I've been there before. Nothing new. And at this point, I'm older, wiser. Life is about highs and lows.
Yeah.
So at the high, it's important that you don't get too high. And going through the Olympia, everybody's like, how did it feel to win the Olympia? How did it feel? I tell people at that moment, it wasn't a feeling at all. I was kind of like there, watching everything happen, going through the motions. It didn't really hit me the significance of what happened until I got home. And I decided to just take a nap. And all of a sudden, emotions well up out of everywhere.
What did you eat after you won?
That's what everybody asked me. I don't have any favorites. I'm not a person that has favorites.
Yeah.
But I will enjoy what's available. So at the Olympia, I probably had something that was backstage first. And the load, a lot of times in the load, you're eating a lot of food. That's what a lot of people may not understand.
You're consuming 15 to 20,000 calories.
Yeah,
a day, right?
I mean, there's a depletion process where you're suffering to get lean, but when you're trying to bring that muscle, the body in peak and the muscle in full,
you need protein.
You're eating a lot, and it's more carbs than protein actually at that point.
Okay.
Because you're trying to fill the glycogen stores out in the muscle. And you're also trying to come in dry and get that skin, the muscle to push against that skin, right? So at this point, I've eaten enough burgers, probably had enough fries, and probably had enough sweet things. So after a show, I'm not necessarily craving to eat a lot.
Yeah.
So what I am craving, though, is a time to go out and spend with my family. So I think, and then I spent with my team. So after the Olympia, I think my coaches, even though in Kuwait, and they have I think they have 3 or 4 cheesecake factories. But whenever they come to the U.S., they love to go to the Cheesecake Factory. So I think I ate with them there at one point. And then I know I went to my sister-in-law's house where she lives in Vegas. And her husband's a Mexican. And my sister-in-law, she knows how to make the best like street style tacos. Mm-hmm. Like, and just, she made some tacos up for me, and I'm spending time with the family. And yeah, she makes some of the best tacos. I'm just thinking about them. But yeah, so I went there after spent time with the family, and of course I ate with the family. We barbecued steak and all those kind of things. But it was most of the Mexican feel, and so that's where I typically, if I'm in Vegas, I'm going to eat probably somewhere with the team, get something quick, and then I'm going to probably go to family. Mm-hmm. And my sister-in-law, she's going to cook something. She's a great cook. So,
well, since we are the Explore.NASH podcast, we do have to talk about Nashville.
Okay.
So, you've been in Nashville basically your entire life,
for the most part,
except for the traveling and everything. But what is your thoughts on the city? Well, is it going in the right direction? Is it going in the wrong direction?
Well, consider I'm not as sensitive to the ground floor of Nashville because I live in Murfreesboro, right? So I come to Nashville when I need to.
Yeah. But you've seen the growth. You went to high school here. Like you've seen things that a lot of people can't say they've seen.
I used to know Nashville like the back of my hand. Mm-hmm. Like when I was a teenager driving around, I used to know everything. But now I drive around Nashville, I'm glad I have GPS. Yeah. And nothing's really changed except the infrastructure, the buildings and everything. And the growth rate it's a little bit overwhelming to say the least, but I mean, it's not surprising because I love home. You know, I moved to California for a little bit. I will say that I moved to California. I was in northern San Diego area, and you know it was nice, but it wasn't like the Nashville feel. And even though you're in California, it's not always sunny days. You know, it may be cloudy at home. Or maybe sunny at home, you go to the beach, it's cloudy, you know, and it does get a little cool. So being back in Nashville initially was, I was like, oh, it's a relief. But then, you know, I think about the traffic and then, you know, of course you bring a lot of people in and you're going to have more crime. But it's a lot more touristy than I remember. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a young man, I'd drive down Broad Street. Ride with my cousin down Broad Street because most of I was a rider because my cousins always drove. We ride down Broad Street, we cruise, go up 2nd Avenue, and do it all again, trying to check out girls. Mm-hmm. And then I remember talking to Patrick McDavid about the Mix Factory. When he come here, he liked to go to Mix. I was like, I remember the Mix Factory. Mm-hmm. So we did have our little spots, and but it wasn't as crazy. Like it wasn't as. I mean, they did ban cruising at a certain point because it got too popular. Everybody's coming in and cruising, and you couldn't go up 2nd Avenue anymore. So I was here for that, but it's wild. I mean, I say it's a lot of things that we thought we wanted when I was younger. A lot of the new restaurants, a lot of new attractions and stuff we thought we wanted. But then I moved outside the city. I'm a little bit more mature now, and that's not really what my life is all about anymore. You know, it's not about just always getting out doing something. But like I said, I still love the city, you know, but I see more driving in, I see more Texas tags. Yep. I see California, and I even have friends that are just last week from San Diego. They're moving in looking for some property last week for a week. So a lot of people, this area is drawing a lot of people, and you know, that's going to come with a lot of other areas issues. Mm-hmm. So, but the food scene and stuff, those kind of things. What
are some of your favorites in Nashville to go to from a food perspective?
Well, I'm one of those guys. I don't have favorites, but you know, I was when Nashville scene was going on, Princess Chicken, because I'm a Hunters Lane guy. I drove in from Hunters Lane because I actually lived more towards this way. Okay, in Hermitage in high school. So I used to pass Princess Chicken every day. Mm-hmm. And my cousin, you know, we go on the weekends cruising and we go get chicken. Mm-hmm. We go get fried fish, you know, hole-in-the-wall spots. Like spots that's probably not even open anymore.
Name a place. They may be open.
No, I can't remember. I can't remember the name off the top of my head because he take me to some like
Like in North Nashville?
Well, North Nashville, and we probably spent, one side of my family's from South Nashville as well.
Okay.
But North Nashville, yes. East Nashville, I spent a lot of time in East Nashville because I lived in Inglewood as well at some point. I've lived probably all over different sections of Nashville. But I'm trying to think of a favorite.
But Prince's is great, yeah. What do you think of Prince's now that they don't have their original location?
It's not. I think it's kind of like the Hattie B's and everything. They're trying to kind of compete with that, which is understandable, but it's not the same. It's not the same as what it used to be. It's everything's more commercial. I think everything is more like ready, prepared, pre-prepared. Nothing's like as fresh as it used to be.
Is there a barbecue restaurant that is your favorite in town?
You know, I'm a bodybuilder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time I spend dieting.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking about barbecue. The only barbecue I eat now on a regular basis that when I'm not in a diet is Mission Barbecue.
Mission's great.
But
they're consistent across the board.
Yeah, Mission.
Have you heard of Meatville?
Meatville
in Antioch.
I haven't been there.
Okay.
I haven't been there.
It would probably be your diet's dream to go there because it's just high protein, high brisket, full beef shank, lamb leg. Like,
let me tell you why I'll follow you. Let me tell you why I'll follow you. Right? There's a certain phase when I'm deep in diet. Right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, my brain, all it cares about is food, and I can't eat any of it. Right? Maybe. Well, here's how it's designed. Once a week,
you can do a cheat.
I get a cheat, but my coach has it to where my cheat is the last meal of the day.
Okay.
So that leaves the options for where I can go a little bit limited.
Yeah.
And it also leaves a time frame in which I can eat everything a little bit limited. And I'm already full from the day of eating because it's normally on a high day, right? I'm eating a lot of more clean food. So it kind of limits my to a sport. So I get my fix during that period by watching
well, thank you.
Your content. And for some reason, the algorithm on my social media,
it's just me.
It's you a lot, and it's every food oriented. I don't know. I guess because I'm looking at it all the time. But it's like it's crazy. Right now my algorithm is normal on my, but you can tell when I'm in
the diet mode
because it's like food. But for some reason. It's crazy. For some reason, it provides some kind of psychological relief, even if I don't eat it.
Yeah.
So I'm writing all these places.
You can imagine it.
Yeah, I'm writing all these places down, and I'm like taking notes, saving, like I'm gonna go, and then like literally the only place that I think I've been recently in Nashville with the wife who we actually drove in. We went to Pancake Pantry.
Hey, there's no shame, man. The chocolate sin pancakes, those things with the chocolate chips are amazing.
Like, and we were supposed to go,
and that batter is incredible.
And we were supposed to go to Four Seasons for Mother's Day
for Mimo.
Yeah,
that place is amazing.
And my wife was, not my decision. She last minute changed the plan.
You go to the Pancake Pantry downtown or near Vanderbilt?
Downtown.
Okay. Yeah. How is that one? I haven't been to that one.
It's nice. I mean, it's
the Vanderbilt one is
it's a little bit more modern.
I just prefer the experience.
Yeah. I understand, but it's a little bit more modern. Monell's is another place.
Monell's is fantastic.
Yeah.
Great fried chicken. Yeah, everything. The experience is great.
I have to think. My mom. I meant to ask my mom.
Have you been to Barbara's Home Cooking?
No. I don't think so.
It's my this conversation's come up a couple times over the last week. It's my third favorite fried chicken in Tennessee.
Okay.
So the first one is the Dreammore Hotel at Dollywood.
Okay.
And just the way that they do their breading with this fried chicken's amazing.
Okay.
Second one right now is probably Brooke Shaw's Old Country Store in Jackson, Tennessee.
I saw you.
We have a video coming out soon on that again.
Oh no, that's not the one.
And then Barbara's Home Cooking, but the same cook that was with Barbara's for a long time just opened Wabash Southern Kitchen in Nolensville.
Okay. I want to text my mom. Because my mom always brought me a plate. I can't think of the name of the place right now, and they eventually had to close down. I think temporarily.
Arnold's. Country Kitchen?
No, it's not Arnold's.
Okay.
She used to always bring me She brings me what does she bring me? My goodness. my brain. She always brings me neck bone from this place. I can't remember what the place is. They had some trouble. I know you did a report on it, and they closed down. But my mom's like, she always says, "What do you want for your birthday?" You want food? I'm like, yeah. And she brings me a plate of this place. Apparently, they take forever. Sometimes with the food, it's everything. She tells me that they check the woman who owns it checks every single meal that goes out the door. That's probably what takes so long.
Yeah.
To make sure everything's right. But my mom brings it to me like, she asked me, now that they closed, she won't bring it to me, but she used to bring it to me all the time. And I can't think of it right now, what the place is, because I've never been there myself.
Okay.
My mom, she always brings me a plate. So when it comes to food, like I never turn food down, but when it comes to coming into Nashville to eat, unless it's a special occasion, I'd rather not. I'd rather not fight the crowds. Because of traffic. I'd rather not fight the crowds.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'd rather not.
Well, Murfreesboro has some good spots. Joni's.
Yes.
And, Simply Sweet, Pure Sweets. There's a lot of good spots.
Yeah, I remember that Goodness Gracious was
Goodness Gracious is amazing.
Especially when it was at the meal.
Oh yeah, that burrito that's covered in queso. That thing's amazing.
Back when it was at the meal, it was even better because we used to wait outside and you could like tour and walk on the property where the meal was. I mean, I missed that kind of spot because the menu was actually bigger when it was there.
Okay.
But now that they've moved to a more centralized location, it's a lot smaller.
What piece of advice would you give to maybe a musician, to somebody that's performing on stage presence and confidence?
The biggest thing I tell people to do is stay in the moment. If you're in the moment, you're not thinking about what could happen. You're not over preparing because like I have to do posing routines, so to speak, so a lot of people would think I'm like, I know everything I'm going to do in my routine, but what I found is the best routines are the less choreographed, the more visualized routines. So instead of me going and stressing myself off step 1, step 2 and going through all these motions, a lot of times I just get a general idea of transitions, and most of my planning goes on in my head as my preparation. So I'm creating the
moment while it's happening.
Yeah, I'm pre-planning. If I'm pre-planning, I'm simulating. Okay, what is it going to look like to me, and what is it going to look like to me, and then in the moment I'm thinking, okay, now what does it feel like? What am I feeling at this moment? Because I find crowds respond to the realistic expression and feeling of the moment than they do something that's like robotic and very, very practiced. Like a lot of the responses I get from a crowd, it's like when I am in a moment and I'm actually feeling the music or I'm feeling a certain segment.
Do you have a walkout song like in wrestling?
No, it's just
it's just music going.
It's a routine. I choose whatever it is. Typically, what I'm gonna perform to, and we get like it's like 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. What's your go-to song?
I don't have a go. Like here's the thing: since I don't pre-plan.
Okay.
A lot of times, and I
you tell the guys last minute you're like this song.
Well, my sister is my sister puts together my music.
Okay.
So she knows this, and so I typically. They've changed it recently, so I had to do it earlier and I had to but I'm going through my preparation, right? And I listen to a little bit of music during my preparation. So, because I'm trying to find something that kind of like speaks to me, or kind of relates to something maybe I'm feeling at the time. The moment I find that, then I'm like, okay, this is my routine song. I don't know what my routine is going to look like, but I'm going to make sure I kind of know this song. Mm-hmm. I know this music.
So you can more pose towards like the different
the feeling, the expression, or I can relate to the music. Like something in the music speaks to me. And my wife used to be very good with suggestions, and I think she found some things that she kind of knows me. So there was some Creed soundtracks that she suggested and they fit perfectly. I guess because she kind of knows some of the story behind me. So she's like, he relate to this. So my wife used to make some suggestions too. And I used to have a film guy who was also very good. I don't know. I guess he kind of knew my personality. So he also very good at suggesting tracks. But I get my sister to format everything. So I'll have multiple tracks. I get her to format everything, or I'll call her last minute. Hey sis, I need my music tomorrow, or I need my music today. Can you put this song together for me and get it on a digital copy so I can turn it in? Because I'll show up at the meeting, and I guess they've noticed over the years I'm last minute. Like I may not turn, like at the meeting, I may not turn any music in at all.
Okay.
And then I have the guys emailing me or calling me before finals, which is when we do our prison routine. Hey, you still got the music? You got any music? I'm like, oh yeah, give me a minute. I'll send it over right now, because sometimes I may change my mind. You know, I may have a track I like.
Yeah, so they're starting to require you 2 weeks out now.
Yeah, so they like us to turn it in like very early, you know. But it's just like I always have it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm always talking to the main guy who's going to be producing and controlling the music. So for me, it's not really a bump. He has everybody in line. He has everything in the system. He just needs me to just put my input in.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like advice on performing, it's like, be you. You got to feel something for the people to feel something. You know, any true expression, any true emotion, that's going to work to your advantage. I know with music, you know, that's a big deal. Also, knowing that it's a gift that you're sharing, you know, helps you not get so caught up into your personal battle with anxiety and the different things about. And notice that, you know, sometimes imperfection is also creates something special. Because most of the time your imperfections are not really noticed by the audience at large. It's only you that know if you messed up or if you didn't do something correct, right? Yeah. So sometimes that creates like some kind of originality and humanness that people sometimes appreciate. So I just don't get caught up in I guess over stressing about my performance in a certain aspect, because I want to be able to embrace the moment, because to me it goes by so fast. Yeah. Like it's like a moment and it's like it's gone. Like I put all this time, I put all this preparation,
30-minute thing,
and then it's like done. Yeah. And that's what I tell young people that are being competitive. I was like, look, especially if they're doing their first show or they're doing their first anything, I say, you can't mess up, because this is your first outing. This is your first. At this point, you can only compare yourself to yourself. So go out and do the best you can, and then come away and get all the feedback you can to make you do it better the next time. Because at this point, it's like, you know, this is your first opportunity. This is your novice into it. You don't put too much pressure on yourself. Your key is to gain experience and enjoy the moment and learn as much as possible about that experience. Because until you've done it, what kind of expectations can you have of yourself, really, you know? So that's why I try to ease people's mind. And I say your first time out is going to be the easiest time, because, you know, you're the most nuanced, you don't know as much, but the more you do it, the more you're going to require of yourself. So, you know, enjoy the freshness of it. So, you know, the more you can kind of stay in the moment and kind of relate to why you're doing it, the reasons you're doing it, and connect to that, the easier it is to do. The easier it is to, and over time things become automatic. You know, you don't have to think about them as much. It's like, how many times have you been driving around and rarely, you're so much in autopilot that you rarely think about what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you realize, I'm out of autopilot. Where am I? You know, where am I? But you were automatically going where you were going and never even thinking about it. And all of a sudden you go out of that mode and you're like, oh, you're lost. Yeah. Because that's how things become after you've done them so much. So practice, of course, makes perfect. Visualization, planning, of course, makes perfect. But realizing that, you know, being in the moment, sharing true expression, being original to yourself is going to be your advantage. You know, don't be like somebody else. If you're imitating somebody else, then it's going to be easier to mess up.
Well, Brandon, I think that's great closing thoughts. Where can people give you a follow?
Well, just go to my Instagram, Brandon_Curry. That's the best place. If you want to find any information about training, or, you know, follow me on any of my adventures where I've documented, go to Brandon All Access on YouTube. But that's where you find me. Like I said, Nashville native, born and raised. The city's changed for the best or the worst, but we welcome all with Southern hospitality, and you know, business is growing because of it. So how can we complain?
Yeah.
Things don't stay the same, right?
Yeah. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you.